This unit is a presentation based on the difference between being nice and being right. Among all the virtues listed in classical ethics, from truth, honor, justice, prudence, fortitude, and so forth, nice is not among them. Ancient ethicists stressed being right over being nice. They saw niceness as a staple of flattery, and this they viewed with a mixture of suspicion and disapproval. Nice, by the way, etymologically comes from the same root word as ignorant, and in the Middle Ages, it was used to call someone a fool. A nice person was considered a stupid person. At any rate, this issue came to a head for me recently when I was working with a programmer to help me create an ethics game. He was asking me about various rules. One permutation he brought to my attention was the possibility of when a penalty occurs in the game. Can the person refuse to impose the penalty on the other player if he lands on the spot, he asked. I had to think about this for a while. Ultimately, I said, yeah, one player can refuse to inflict a penalty, but only at the cost of him taking on the punishment himself. At this, the programmer got visibly upset. This is teaching bad values, he said. You should be teaching people that if you do ethical things, good things happen for you. I had to gently explain to him that sometimes, for an act to be ethical, there has to be a cost involved. For instance, if a family is undergoing famine and a mother wants to feed her children, she'll forego her own allotment of food. The act is ethical precisely because she gave a benefit for herself to help others. She absorbed the pain for them. It wouldn't be an ethical act if they all ate and it cost her nothing. Moral revolutionaries are remembered precisely because they sacrificed for others. Jesus isn't remembered for living happily ever after. He's said to have taken on the sins of the world to save others, but to save them, he had to absorb the punishment. Likewise, Socrates. Why he's still remembered as a great moral exemplar is that he was willing to die before he stopped teaching people critical thinking skills. Ethics didn't lead to a happy ending, to wealth, prosperity, and advantages, but he did it anyway. Why? Because it's not about material advantage. It's about doing what's right, regardless of the cost. Utilitarian behavior is all about securing advantage. Ethics asks for something more. I think why the programmer was struggling with understanding these ethical principles is that he's been told his whole life about being nice. Ethics isn't about being nice. It's about doing what's right. Nevertheless, we're flooded with messaging from media that the most important thing that we can do is not rock the boat, to be a yes man, to be nice at all costs. This concept of going along to get along is not ethics. It's a concept that the Greeks called phronesis, or what we today call diplomacy. Some people translate phronesis as practical wisdom, such as this author.
But rules and incentives are not enough. They leave out something essential. This audiobook is about what that something is. It is what classical philosopher Aristotle called practical wisdom. His word was phronesis. Without this missing ingredient, neither rules, no matter how detailed and well monitored, nor incentives, no matter how clever, will be enough to solve the problems we face. Aristotle's ethics was not an abstract discourse on the human good or on right behavior. Its subject was what we needed to learn in order to succeed at our practices and to flourish as human beings. We needed to learn certain character traits like loyalty, self-control, courage, fairness, generosity, gentleness, friendliness, and truthfulness. A list that today would also include perseverance, integrity, open-mindedness, thoroughness, and kindness.
Did he just take it upon himself to add open-mindedness and kindness to the list of virtues? If he did, he's pretty much on his own. Kindness, or rather niceness, is not mentioned as a virtue by Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Cicero, Lucretius, or any other great thinker or expert on ethics. It's modern psychobabble, and it may not be entirely healthy for young people. Youths are entrained to flatter people, to tell them what they want to hear, to not upset the apple cart. Parents under this influence encourage self-indulgent behaviors in their children. I remember seeing a TV show called Intervention. In the episode, a mother was buying her own daughter heroin because she wanted to be her buddy. She didn't understand why her ex-husband was angry at her. She didn't understand that what she was doing was not being her daughter's friend. Cicero, in his essay on friendship, says, "Therefore those are in fatal error who think that in friendship there is free license for all lusts and evil practices. Friendship is given by nature not as a companion of the vices, but as a helper of the virtues." A true friend, he says, doesn't help someone destroy themselves. In the cult of niceness, people fail to grasp this concept, like when signs in the park say, "Do not feed the bears." This isn't put up to encourage meanness to the bears. It's put up because if you feed them, they'll forget how to hunt. They'll become dependent on humans, which puts people in physical danger if bears associate them with food. It also imperils the bears, who, if no people are around, will starve. So the person acting under the influence of niceness thinks they're being kind to the bears. It feels good to them to offer them nourishment. They get a dopamine drip in their brain due to being nice. But in reality, this niceness is hurting the animals, like the mother bringing her daughter heroin. In reality, the two are in what Aristotle calls a friendship of utility. In Nicomachean Ethics, he describes a friendship of utility as a fake friendship, when you don't see someone as an end, but as a means. For instance, a young stripper who marries a 90-year-old tycoon sees him as a mere means to money. He likewise is using her for just as shallow of a reason. To him, she's a means to acquire status. She's a trophy wife. They're both using each other, just as the mother offering her kid drugs is deriving a dopamine drip due to telling herself how nice she is, while her daughter is using her mother for narcotics. This is not a healthy relationship. By the way, the New American just partnered with a platform called Locals. It's a place where you can engage with us a little more than on standard websites. I think it's like $5 if you want to sign up as a supporter and help us in what we're doing. In return, you get more access and behind-the-scenes content that's not available to the Gen Pop. Think of it like throwing a few coins in the cup of a guitarist busking on a street corner. You can do it by going to thenewamerican.locals.com. There you'll get greater access to people like me and see stuff like my frivolous cell phone musings, such as the following. We Atlanteans were told by philosophers thousands of years ago about the mythical land of America. I've just been reading a book on it with my son. Some people place America somewhere in the Atlantic. Others say that it was in the Pacific. Yet others think that it was somewhere where Antarctica is now. Most historians believe that America was a mere myth, that it was used as a metaphor of hubris. America's downfall, we're told, was based on its celebration of vice over virtue, its punishment of the productive and subsidization of the unproductive. Ultimately, America collapsed because a tiny handful of oligarchs appealed to the poor in a bid to join them in their fight against the middle class. They wanted to create a pincer movement to rob the law-abiding people. To make these appeals to the poor, the oligarchs changed the values of the society to celebrate criminality, laziness, grievance, envy, and fecklessness. In the end, the honest Americans never rose up and took their society back. They never imposed their values. They just wanted to be left alone. Famous last words. We Atlanteans can learn a lot about this moral metaphor presented by this now lost civilization of America.